Hey guys, Dennis from DC SuperShine. We are doing another Battle of the Bars video today. We are at Rainstrick Farms. I want to say a big thank you to Denny for letting us use his truck to do this video. So I sanded my tank 320, 400, and 600 with this new sander here. I was at Home Depot yesterday and I saw this little bad boy. It's a battery powered sander. It is a DCW 210. And so far, I'm pretty impressed with this thing. If you want to see a full review, click on the card above and you'll see that video. So the three bars I chose for today are, the first one I'm going to be using is the yellow Koccur SS17 yellow. It's a heavy cut. They consider this a semi-dry. And all these bars that I'm using today are around the same price. They're around the $12 range, depending on what website you go on. The second bar is going to be the pink from Marpol, so the C106. This is also considered a heavy cut. And the third bar is, this is an old chunk I had from a couple years ago. This is the Jackson Lee Yellow C3776. And it's also a semi-greasy, so I don't know if semi-dry and semi-greasy is the same thing. We're going to test them out and see. A lot of these companies use their own terms whenever it comes to bars. So it can be really confusing whenever you're a new polisher. So anyways, we're going to test these three bars today and we're going to see which one comes out on top. Okay guys, I think I'm vibrating still from those pads. Man, they were brutal to deal with. So as you noticed, I used a 3500 RPM today because those pads are some of the pads that I set aside to use with the 3500 because they vibrate too much with the 6000. Okay guys, so the first bar we used today was the yellow Koccur SS17. I wasn't super impressed with this bar. I used it years ago and I think I liked it more back then. You know, for cutting and residue on this one, I'd give it I'd say 6.5, 7 on 10. It cut fairly quickly, but it did leave a few sander marks that I had to go over, and it left a little bit more residue than I typically like, you know, using a cutting bar. Color and clarity is just fine. I couldn't find any ratings or cutting ratings for this bar, or any of the bars for that matter, but I would say that this is probably a 7.3, so a 7 cut and a 3 color. Price wise, all these bars, like I mentioned earlier, they're all around the same price. They're all around $12. I found some a little cheaper, a little bit more, and that's all US dollars. Canadian dollars, it can be much higher. This bar I found at 32 bucks Canadian. So availability for this bar, it was a little bit harder to find this bar online. I did a couple searches on different websites. Some had it in stock and some didn't. So I'll give this bar a 6 on 10 for availability. Durability, you know, is very, very comparable to most of the bars that I use, so I'll give it an 8 on 10. So second bar we use today is the C106 from Marpol. I've been using this bar for quite some time, for at least 2 years now. And I do like it. You know, it cuts very well. It leaves a decent shine. So it's, you know, to do your finishing after, it's fairly very easy. So for cutting and residue, I'll give this an 8 on 10. Color and clarity, the clarity that it leaves behind is very good as well. So I'll give that an 8 on 10 as well. Price, like I mentioned, they're all around the same price. So 12 bucks. You know, there's nothing wrong with that kind of price. There's some bars that are a lot more expensive. So an 8 on 10 for that. Availability, I think it depends on who you talk to and on what website you go to, because some websites say that it's in stock and most of them say that it's not in stock. And even if it says that it's in stock, sometimes you still can't get it. So I'll rate this a 4 on 10 for availability. Durability, it lasts a long time. You know, I'm able to do probably several trucks with one bar, so I'll give it a 9 on 10 for that. So the third bar I used today was the bar that impressed me the most. Now, I used this a few years back, and I always said to myself that if I didn't have access to Menzerna, because I've been using Menzerna for so long now, I'm using my own bars, but when I was using Menzerna, I always said to myself that if I would not have Menzerna, this is the bar that I would use. And I think still today, I feel the same way. Cutting speed and residue, it leaves virtually no residue. Cutting speed is very, very quick. It performed very similarly to the brown Jackson Lee that I rated, you know, a few weeks ago. Color and clarity, you know, you'll be able to see on the video that it leaves the, you know, it has the best color and the less buffing lines than all three that I used today. Price-wise, so sorry, for cutting and residue, I'll give it a 9 on 10. For color and clarity, I'll give it an 8 on 10. And for the price, this one's a little bit more pricey from what I found on the websites. So Jackson Lee is owned by Ozborne now. So I think this bar was around 15 bucks on average that I found. And then, so I'll give that a 7 on 10. Availability, it's made by Ozborne, so I'm assuming that I haven't bought this bar in quite some time. But if it's made by Ozborne, it's probably quite readily available. I know you can get this from Highway Shine, from Andy on Highway Shine. So availability, I'll give it an 8 on 10. And durability, you know, you don't need a lot. It's a greasy bar, so you don't need a lot of this product to use. So 9 on 10 for that as well. It'll last you a long time. Okay, guys, so for today, the bar that I choose the winner is the Jackson Lee C3776. For me, this is the bar that worked the easiest. It cut the best, and it left no residue, so it's going to make my finishing that much easier. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. If you have any comments at all, if any of you have any of the, you know, the cut and color ratings on any of these bars, I'd be curious to know. So post that in the comments below. I appreciate you watching. Like me on Facebook and on Instagram as well, and we'll see you in the next one.